Welcome to this Zen Golf Q&A. I'm glad to have everyone here. And this is actually the start of the Lunar New Year. In Asia, it's the year of that they particularly pay attention to the Lunar New Year, and it is the year of the metal ox. Metal is strong but rigid, but if you work it, you can bend it. So that's the quality of the year. And the ox works hard and works well in teams. That's why oxen are yoked together. And I found out something interesting about the word yoke. The piece that holds two oxen next to each other, the yoke, actually comes from the word yoga in Sanskrit, because yoga means union, or to bring together or join together. So that's why we have the English word yoke. Any questions? Any golf questions that come to mind?
I have a question.
Okay, go.
So, Dr. Parent, thank you very much for everything you're doing. I finished your book a little while ago, and then I watched some conversations you've had with some people about golf. And I've been golfing for a long time, have started golfing more regularly, and my goal is to become more consistent. And I felt like in your book at the end, there were a bunch of great tips that I hadn't thought of before. That included the concept of thinking of your shot as an average shot. You know, when you get up to shoot, it's like, you know, it's an average shot, which helped tremendously. And also to try to get past when on your approach shot the hole, you know, rather than in front, which a lot of amateur golfers don't do, and many other things. So I guess my question is, how can you become consistent?
Right. Well, let's give that one a try. I'm gonna mute everybody for a second. Okay. So to get consistency, well, first of all, thank you for your appreciation. I'm assuming it was Zen Golf that you read. I have a few other books, but the the idea of consistency depends on routine. And that's exactly what the word routine means, that you do things in a consistent way. Now, I don't like to talk about it in a rigid way of you do it the same way every time, but you do it in a regular way, that it's pretty much the same each time. So for your pre-shot routine, which I actually I don't like to call it pre-shot because it separates out from the shot. What you do before actually flows into the shot that you hit. So to start with, you have to use your thinking brain, your thinking mind, and plan the shot. Environmental awareness is really important for that. If you're on the tee, you don't have to worry. On the tee, you still worry about the lie because some tee boxes aren't even. So you start with the lie and how you're going to be set up and how the ball is and how your feet are in relation to the ground. You need to be aware of uphill, downhill, side hill. You need to be aware of the lay of the land, how the ball will react after it lands, or how a putt will react when it's traveling along the ground. And you need to be aware of the wind. If you're hitting sometimes when you're putting, but if you're at Bandon Dunes, like this picture, but in general, how it's going to affect the flight and the distance that the ball goes. So all of that is part of the planning. And then you pick the club. Now, a big part of that has to do with targeting. So I want to share something about targeting. And that is, what I use is the rather method. The rather method is, instead of talking about where I might miss it, Or, you know, some of the pros say, where do you need to know where you want to miss it. Well, you don't want to miss it. you want to put it in your area. And in golf, you aim at a spot, but you play to an area. So being aware of that area and then saying, okay, if I'm not going right at the flagstick, would I rather be long or short? Would I rather be left or right? And there are only three answers to each of those questions. I'd rather be long, I'd rather be short, or it doesn't matter. I'd rather be left, I'd rather be right, or it doesn't matter. If you have a perfectly flat green with the pin right in the middle of it, it doesn't matter, long, short, left, or right. But if the pin is nearer to one side or there's a hazard along one side of the green, then you want to be in the direction away from that hazard. You want to be towards the wide side of the green. So, for example, if you have a back left pin, the answers to those questions would, I'd rather be short and I'd rather be right. Now, that's the key. You'd rather be short, which means even if you're aiming to the wider side, if you have a back pin, you don't take enough club you don't take the club you would use for that distance. Because if you hit it particularly well or you pull it, you're going to go long. You want to take the club that no matter how well you hit it or how far you hit it, if you pull it, it's not going to get past the hole. And that will leave you under the hole or short where you want to be. And you pick a target to the right that no matter how much you pull it or hook it, or if you're a lefty, you push it over there, you're not going to go to the left of the pin. And that gives you the safest place. And if you know that you have that safe target, it's going to free you up. It's going to free you up to make your most committed, freest swing. Now, that gets into that's the preparation part. You want to be able to make it committed. You have a target you can commit to, and you do your breathing. Take a good grounding breath before you ever walk into the shot. You can also use your breathing and out breath as the signal to take the club away. So the breath flows out and the club flows away. It's a very nice takeaway signal. That's your preparation. And this is the PAR approach: preparation, action, response to results. Then for the action, you have prepared yourself to make your most committed swing. You have to have that as your attitude in mind, that what I'm going to do, I've got my target, I'm going after it. Wherever it comes down, I can handle it. And that lets you make that committed swing. Because if you can't handle it or you don't trust your swing, you will either help it turn in one direction or the other, or you'll prevent it from going in one place or another, or you'll just be fearful and you'll decel and hold back. You'll decelerate. Those are the three kinds of interference with a swing. So consistency comes from swinging with the least amount of interference. And you swing with the least amount of interference by preparing as fully and properly as you can. And if you look in Zen Golf, you'll see the concept of the anyways. You get up there, you're not completely comfortable, you don't quite trust it, but you say, I'm just going to go ahead and swing anyway. Reduce the number of those, maximizes your consistency. Thinking, well, I'm not sure I have enough clubs, so I'm going to swing extra hard. Not the plan. Then you're trying to help it. Well, I got my target, but I really don't want to go over to this side. Then you're going to prevent it. So doing your preparation as thoroughly as you can allows you to make the action the most free and committed swing that you can make. And then to be the most committed, do your post-shot routine. If you really liked it, just say, that's how I always hit it when I prepare and prepare well and make a committed swing. If it wasn't quite what you had in mind, but it's not terrible, you say, oh, that was close. You make another swing and say, what little adjustment little adjustment do I have to make? I love Harvey Penick, a great golf instructor. I love his statement, when I tell you to take an aspirin, I mean 1 or 2, not the whole bottle. So in golf, we make tiny, tiny adjustments. I see Marcella showing that book. Okay, so the third is, if it's a real stinker, then you know one of those 3 kinds of interference happened and got in the way. And you have to reflect, what was lacking in my preparation? What was lacking in my commitment on the swing? And erase and replace that bad swing. Erase and replace it. Make that swing, erase and replace it, so that the swing that you leave with is a good one. And discover what you need to do so that in your next pre-shot routine and your next swing, you will be able to do that better pre-shot routine and make a freer, more committed swing with the least interference. And that process, that in Japan, they call it Kaizen, the path of continuous improvement. By doing your routine better and better and better, the quality of your shots will become more and more consistent. Okay, anybody else? I'm going to let you unmute.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Marcella, how about you?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say that I have this in Polish. I'm actually just reading it. I was reading it actually a few years ago in the little green book, and then the little red book. But I can tell you, I've been playing golf for 18 years. But when I read this, like 18 years ago, I did not understand this mental thing, absolutely. But now, after I read your books, after I'm a little in mental things, it's like a new book for me. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
That's great. I'm very, very happy about that. I actually, I think it was Zen Golf. It might have been Zen Putting, but it was translated into Polish.
Yeah, Zen Putting and Zen Golf. Only these 2 books, and I would like the others. Would be beautiful.
I'll have to find a publisher. It was one guy who decided to publish them himself. And I don't even know if they're still selling them, but I had a friend who I showed it to, who's his parents came over from Poland, and I showed it to him, and on the quote, on the cover of Zen Golf is Vijay Singh, but they translated his quote into Polish, and he looked at the cover and he said, I didn't know Vijay spoke Polish. So he didn't quite understand the concept, but did you have a question for your golf?
Any question for golf?
For you, for playing?
I do. I do, but I was scared to ask again.
You have to have courage to play golf, right?
Yeah, I know.
So here's exactly the situation. Okay, you imagine the question that you have, and then you have to do what we do in preparation for a shot, and you can say, I can handle this however things turn out.
No, I have a question actually for a long time, for the first time we met. So
don't be afraid.
Okay, so my question, imagine you are going to play the champion, the club, not you, but the club choose you to play for the club. Means you play 3 girls, the best girls of the club in a Polish championship. And now it's completely different play, different play than like you play for yourself, right? How would you settle your mind not to get influence from like expectations from others. Like others have expectations, right? Like, oh, it's like Ryder Cup. Come on, it's the same thing.
Understood.
Completely different thing.
Understood. Okay. So like the Ryder Cup, or like a college team that relies on each other, but represents the college, like the Ryder Cup, where you have a team that represents the country. I've talked with a lot of college teams, so let me present this. And we're going a little long, so if you need to leave, thank you for being part of this, but we'll go for another few minutes. Okay, so the first is know that the people that are rooting for you, that are, if you're representing your club, they're all your club members. If you're representing your country, it's everyone in your country. They're not rooting against you. They don't hope you fail. They hope that you succeed. So they are on your side. They're supportive. They're rooting for you. And they understand that golf is not something that you can do without making a mistake. If someone's playing for their country in the Davis Cup, on the Davis Cup team, they don't think everybody's going to turn against them if they hit the ball into the net one time. They don't think the country's going to turn against them even if they lose a game. Obviously, and even if they lose their match, if they gave it their heart, if the heart came out and they saw they gave it everything they had, they get the applause and they get the appreciation of their country. So if you're playing for your club or your country, the people are on your side, and they know that you could run into an opponent that might have their best day ever. And there's nothing you can control about your opponent. So if you played your heart out and got the most out of your game against the golf course and kept your head up high, held up high, and stayed proud of yourself and of your country, you get the applause. They will be behind you. They'll be supportive of you. The people who are rooting against you, they're rooting for their country. And so, a lot of players take that as inspiration. They say, oh, you're going to root against me? I'll show you. I had a player who was playing in a tournament in Spain, and she and the Spanish golfer were going head to head, and everybody was against her. And I said, that must have upset you and made you feel bad. And she said, no, I wanted to beat her even more. So you use those people as motivation. Okay, now for your teammates, it's very important. They have the same expectation that you will play your heart out and get the most out of your game. They do not have an expectation for a particular score. But they will look to you if they can see you on the golf course, or look to you as you're preparing. And if you're nervous and worried, guess what they're going to pick up? They're going to pick up your body language. And they're going to say, if she's worried, maybe I should be worried. If you get down, you go, oh, I'm doing badly. If they see you walking like that, they're going to go, uh-oh, she's in trouble. I'm going to have to play especially well. And then they're going to do things out of their comfort zone, and they're going to maybe get themselves in trouble on the course. So they need to feel like, hey, she's playing great. I can relax. I'm just going to get, I'm going to work the course and get the most I can out of my game. So they want to see you. So you have to convey that positive body language. And if one of them messes up and you see it, don't be disapproving, The cheerleaders on the football team, when the team makes a mistake and the other team scores, they're not going like, you guys were terrible. No, they're going, come on, that's okay. Shake it off. You can do better. You'll be all right. So I think those are the things that we'll take care of. The only expectation that you need to have for yourself is, and these are your competitive goals. And if you, in Zen Golf, I have a chapter called Nothing Special, Nothing Extra. And in that chapter, I have a pro going to an important tournament for his career. And we set up, he said, what should my goals be? And I said, they should be process goals, not outcome goals. Say, I'm going to visualize my shots as well or better than anybody else out here. I'm going to make the highest percentage of fully committed swings as anybody else out here. I'm going to pick the best targets of anybody out here. And I'm going to keep my composure and do my breathing better than anybody else out here. Now, if you do that, you have a great chance of winning. If you worry about what you're going to shoot and what they're going to shoot and how will that bogeying that hole, then what do I have to do to make up for it? And oh my gosh, then you're defeated from the start. And that also goes with conditions. In Zen Golf, I talk about Jack Nicklaus walking through the locker room and listening to people complaining about the weather or the course conditions. And everybody he heard complaining, he would just check them off the list. Say, don't have to worry about him, don't have to worry about him, don't have to worry about him. And he usually found it was a small number of people like himself that didn't complain that he was going to be his real competition. It's a chapter called Cover the Roads with Leather. Well, we've gone over our time again. I think I was unrealistic about 20 minutes. So maybe we'll let people know it's going to be an hour and 15 minutes for the whole thing. It's been great being with all of you, and thank you so much. If you have other questions, please do send them in, info@zengolf.com. Just email your questions, and then we'll take those first in the next one. So in 2 weeks from today, we'll see you again. Thank you.